Raider Nation, you know what time it is. It's time to get into some rumors presented by Vincero Collective. If you haven't already, head on over to VinceroCollective.com/chat for 20% off and free shipping on a lot of very stylish watches. They also have sunglasses and wallets as well. If you can't find the link, it's down in the comments and in the description. Coming up here on the Raiders Report, we're going to get into the latest quarterback rumors. I mean, I'm sorry, but once the fact that the Raiders moved on from Derek Carr, there's going to be a lot of stories around the Raiders and QBs. Rodgers trade costs. Colin Cowherd, he went on his show today, gave his trade idea of what it was going to cost the Raiders to get this man in silver and black. I'll give you my idea and around the entire thing. Should the Raiders draft CJ Stroud instead? And then how much would it actually cost the Raiders to trade up for Stroud? All of that's going to be coming up here on today's show. Now, we always say, hey, if you bleed silver and black, you're part of the family around here. And I want to know how many real ones we got tuning in today. If you're a diehard fan, you bleed silver and black, you scream womb to the tomb, you are everything that Raider Nation embodies, I want you to hit that subscribe button. Now, in terms of the Raiders quarterback situation, there's some pretty big news out there. And Las Vegas locally, who I'm telling you right now, I have them on radar watch. They posted on their Twitter, if the Raiders can't trade for Aaron Rodgers, they'll try to get Jimmy Garoppolo. Now, some of y'all are probably out there like, well, who exactly is Las Vegas locally? They're the ones that I've been talking about for basically the last 2 weeks. They were also the ones that broke the news last year that Davante Adams apparently bought a house in Las Vegas. So it does sound like they have some pretty credible sources around that. So as soon as I saw this, I was like, all right, man, I got to go to Vegas, right? Like, I got to look at the latest odds here with Aaron Rodgers potentially joining the Las Vegas Raiders. And for them, it's right now still minus 300. That makes me confident. Though, I do see that Vegas is losing a little bit of confidence because they were minus 500 last week, and then they were minus 350, and now it's minus 300. I mean, they were still the favorite to get them, but it does make me a little bit nervous. The Green Bay Packers, plus 230. And you got the Jets at plus 650. Patriots, Commanders, and a bunch of other teams much, much lower than that. So that's the latest on Rodgers potentially coming to the Raiders. But then I had a lot of people asking me, Mitch, when the hell is Rodgers going to do his darkness retreat? He said on the Pat McAfee show that it will begin at the end of the week. So I always like challenges, right? Like I'm a person where if you give me a challenge, I'll try to set my mind something. I like challenges. So I was talking to Jeremy, and I was talking to our boss, and I thought it'd be kind of a funny idea. What if we did an entire show in the dark? Like, we turn off all these lights here, and we do our own like little Raiders Report darkness retreat. They told me since Rodgers wears 12, I got to challenge y'all. So I want 1,200 likes on this video. If it gets 1,200 likes, we can do a video in complete darkness. I don't know. Sounds kind of cool to me. So this is what Colin Cowherd had to say today on his show. He believed if the Las Vegas Raiders were to trade for quarterback Aaron Rodgers, it would cost them a first, a third, and a fifth-round pick to get him. How do you feel about it? Well, guess what? I'll tell you how I feel about it in just a second. But today's show is presented by Vincero Collective. Remember, 20% off and free shipping at VinceroCollective.com/chat. The watch that I have on right now is actually the one that you see on screen. I personally love it if I wear blue jeans or honestly anything a little bit gold in my repertoire. But Vincero's goal is to help the everyday person accessorize their outfits with premium products at a price that makes sense. For all the boss men and women out there, their watches are a must. They can elevate your look with a twist of the wrist, made with surgical-grade stainless steel, durable silicone, and Italian marble straps. These sleek, modern watches come with a reliable automatic and Japanese quartz movements. You need to go check them out if you haven't yet. Right now, if you're looking for a perfect Valentine's Day gift, and I'll just be honest, if you missed Valentine's Day, hey, Alex, if you want to get me one of these, girl, hey, don't be afraid to. So, or if someone that you know that you love, save 20% off and free shipping site-wide with our exclusive code CHAT. Support our show and check them out at Vincero Collective.com and use code CHAT. Like I also said at the top of the show, they also have sunglasses, other accessories as well, a wallet. To me, I know if I'm coming to work, if I have a date night with Alex afterward, I like to rep a watch. Just me being real with you. I try to look my best, and I always try to know what time it is. And I always know it's time to get down. Venturo's going to help you do that. Shout out to them, VenturoCollective.com/chat. Here's my take on Aaron Rodgers. Also, it would probably help to have a watch if you're in a darkness retreat. I don't know if that's allowed, though. I believe it's actually going to cost a lot less for the Raiders to trade for Rodgers, and that goes based off of what I have personally been told by my sources. I think what Cowherd's doing here is he's taking out of the idea of Rodgers actually having a threat to retire. And that's a legitimate threat. If my source comes through and he says, hey, Mitch, it's either the Raiders or he's going to retire, Green Bay's not going to want that. They're going to trade him away for much, much cheaper. You kind of saw with D.C. Everybody under the sun knows that Derek Carr in a normal world's going to go for something, right? A lot more than a third. Hell, there was teams asking for him for 2 first-round picks last season because he wasn't available. Guess what happens when people know you're available? You don't go for nearly as much. It's just the way it works, right? So this is what Cowherd had to say again. I wanted to show it to you in terms of a graphical standpoint. Raiders get Rodgers. The Green Bay Packers, they get your number 7. You get your 70th, and then your 5th-round pick. The reason why I don't have the numbers there is because the NFL still hasn't put out all the comp picks yet. But it's a first, it's a 3rd, and a 5th-round pick. My question to you is this. What do we do here? We ask questions. Would you do this trade? I want you to type yes or no. And don't be just the normal guy. Be an overachiever. I asked you earlier, are you a real one? Real ones to me would type yes and give me an explanation why. Or you can type no and give an explanation why. If you see somebody else in the comments saying, hey, yes or no, interact with them. That's what I like about this show. To me, again, though, personally, I don't think it's going to cost that much, so I would fire back and I'd say, no, I'm not going to do that trade. However, if I was told by the Packers this is the only way you're doing it, and then if they told me, hey, you're either going to do that trade with Aaron Rodgers or we're going to sign Jimmy Garoppolo, because if this is true, Rodgers is plan A, Jimmy Garoppolo plan B. Sure, it's not the first time he's used it. That would make me nervous because I will continue to say up on this show, the worst thing that the Raiders could possibly do is sign Jimmy Garoppolo. And some of you are like, well, you could bring in Garoppolo for 1 year, and then you could have a quarterback learn from him, and then you start him next year. I don't want to do that. If I'm going to have a quarterback start in year 1, sure, they might not be a rookie. Give me Drake May. Give me Caleb Williams. Because Jimmy Garoppolo, you win 7, 8, 9 games, and then what? Then you still have a chance that your freaking quarterback, you lose your head coach, you potentially could lose your GM, and then you bring in a new guy, and then that quarterback's not even his guy. Like, it's a shit show to me. Jimmy Garoppolo is not going to make the playoffs with the Raiders, so guess what? I do not want that to happen. And even though the Raiders right now are a very common team to put quarterbacks at, because let's face it, they don't have one right now, they're the top team to also get Garoppolo. Plus 225 odds, according to Vegas. The Jets are on there, the Seahawks, the Texans. I have been a long time in predicting that he ends up going to the New York Jets. It's going to be interesting, though, no matter what. I did put out this list a few days ago on the show when the first rumors came out about Jimmy Garoppolo, because there was a report that said the Raiders might actually prefer Garoppolo over Rodgers. I just can't see a world where that's true. But then again, would it surprise anybody if McDaniels decides to do it? No, I don't even know what to think of this franchise sometimes. You don't need another game manager. Derek Carr was a game manager. Jimmy Garoppolo's a game manager. No. He's too injury prone. The amount of games that this man has missed over the past 3-4 seasons, it's not the type of guy that I want to spend a lot of money. He's not going to be that cheap. I have once said that I wouldn't pay him over $10 million a year. Spotrac has him at making $34.9 million. I don't think that he gets that much, but if I was Garoppolo, shit, I'm asking for at least 15, 20. If you want to make me a starter, that's $25 million a year. No, sir. No chance. No way, to me, Adams wants to play with him. The best quarterback for Davante Adams is somebody with a strong arm. You saw it with Aaron Rodgers throughout his entire career. So if you want to get a strong arm QB, to me, that's Rodgers. That's a CJ Stroud. Maybe it's a Will Levis. It's definitely not Jimmy Garoppolo. We just saw Adams with a quarterback that doesn't have that strong of an arm and Carr. Yeah, Adams put up good numbers, but the Raiders didn't win a lot of games. And then if your plan is just to get Garoppolo, just take a freaking quarterback. Just draft one. There is no upside in Jimmy G, where there is upside to me in a Will Levis, in a CJ Stroud. There's upside there. By you going this route, it is the most vanilla, mediocre move you could possibly do, and I hope that the Raiders don't freaking do it. Coming up next here on the Raiders Report, how much would it cost to trade up for Stroud? If we're going to sit up here and talk about how much it is to trade for Aaron Rodgers, I don't think I'd be doing my job to not tell you how much it would cost to trade for CJ Stroud. And the reason why we're going to talk about trades is because I have done mock drafts. I have talked to multiple people out there. I would say right now there is a 10% chance that Stroud falls to pick number 7 because of, I just think that other teams are going to start trading up for a quarterback. That's just usually the way that the NFL draft goes. And yeah, last year it was weird. Kenny Pickett, he was the first and only quarterback taken at number 20. I just don't see that that's going to happen this upcoming season. So what you're going to see on the show is the trade value chart. The trade value chart is essentially something that some NFL teams use, but it's a way to see how much certain picks are worth in each year. And if you don't believe me, go to Google, type in NFL trade value chart, check it out. But I have said I want either Aaron Rodgers or I want CJ Stroud. So to me, it might cost more to trade up for Stroud. Let's say you want to get your quarterback. I would say right now, to guarantee yourself getting a QB, you might have to trade up for one. And that's a realistic possibility. What does that cost? Yeah, you get the number 1 overall pick, you get your QB, but according to the trade value chart, these aren't trades that I would do. Again, this is according to the trade value chart. It's going to cost your first 3 picks this year, and then a first-round pick in 2024, and then a first-round pick in 2025. Why? Teams value the draft very, very much. What if you were to trade up to the number 2 pick, right? Let's just say you move up to number 2. That costs a first-round pick and a third-round pick this year, and then also a first and a second in next year's draft. Very commonly when I talk about trading up for CJ Stroud, a lot of the times people look at number 3 because Houston's probably going to take a quarterback at 2. Maybe, I don't know. If Indy trades up to 1, though, that makes this a much different conversation. But let's just say number 3 is the most likely spot for the Arizona Cardinals. That apparently, according to the trade value chart, costs a first, a second, and a third. So yes, you get your quarterback, but you lose on pick number 38. You lose on pick number 70. Dave Ziegler already said earlier in this offseason he's not going to give up a lot of draft capital for just one position. This is giving up a lot for one position. What if you traded up to number 4? It would cost you your first and your third and then a fifth. So if you remember what Colin Cowherd said, he said that this is how much it would cost for you to get Aaron Rodgers. So essentially, getting Aaron Rodgers to him costs just as much as trading up to the number 4 overall pick. Pretty interesting if you ask me. And then number 5, because to me, the Raiders aren't going to trade up to number 6. I don't see that being really in the realm of what happens. If a trade goes down, it's more than likely going to be in the top 5. To me, the most likely spots for the Raiders to trade up, 1, 3, by far the most likely is 3, and then number 5, depending on certain teams and where they're at exactly. But a first and a third to move up to 5 to get the quarterback that you want, again, something that you have to take into consideration. I will continue to stand on this hill, though. I do think it costs the Raiders more draft capital to trade up for Stroud than it's going to trade for Aaron Rodgers, and I get the fact that people want Stroud. People want Stroud because he is that high overall prospect, and I agree. He's a phenomenal athlete. He's got all the tools that you're looking for. But you got to put yourselves in McDaniels, and then you got to put yourselves in Ziegler's shoes. If you were willing to bet on 1 year, because I really think that they have 1 year to be able to make this work. If they have a losing record, they're out. Would you be more willing to spend more draft capital on a rookie, or would you be willing to just take Aaron Rodgers, the 4-time NFL MVP? If it was up to us and our job's not on the line, then sure, I get the idea of rolling the dice with CJ Stroud, and if it works, shit, then you got your quarterback for the next 10 to 15 years. But I don't know if that's how Ziegler and McDaniels are going to look at it because I think they only have 1 year to prove it. So what do you think? Who's worth more in a trade? Is it going to cost the Raiders more to get Aaron Rodgers? Is it going to cost the Raiders more to get CJ Stroud? All I know is this. If they trade for Rodgers, 12-hour live show. And if they don't trade for Rodgers, I am hoping that the Raiders come away with a quarterback in some way or another because you can't go into the next year with nothing. You got to give your fan base something because Raider Nation, let's face it, we deserve better.